Good evening, everybody. It's good to be back here again today. And I want to discuss some things with parents and guardians. Um, are we causing issues with our children because we are our children' biggest influencers? And that was my subject today. What am I doing? Wait. uh, that was what I wanted to go over today was about we're our children's biggest influencers. And we need to be more aware if we are failing our children because they are our responsibility. And so, are we failing them? We can fail our children in many different ways. We know that school is starting back. Are we engaged with our children starting back to school and being active in their life, joining PTA? Um, because that is important. And so parents influence their children behaviors and their attitudes. And research have shown, I did a study on African American students in predominant African American high schools. And I just wanted to touch on some things that I did learn doing my research study. Um, that we influence our children a great deal. And it's important that we start out as young as they are, pre K, uh, kindergarten, daycare, making sure you put your children in the right daycare center because that has a big influence on how they're going to develop later in life. And they are the next generation to take over the United States. This is our next generation, and it's important that we step into their lives to make sure our kids are ready and we give them everything that we can in a positive manner. Uh, Research has shown that most students who have early academic achievement would develop future academic achievement later in life, and that majority of children are influenced by parents' academic socialization. This means that parents have a greater influence over their children's academic achievement because we influence them on great behaviors and we reward them when they do good, and that encourages them to keep doing good. Parents with high expectation maintain communication with their children. It's important that you do that. Maintain a communication with your child, get to know your child. I know that a lot of parents work and you're busy with everyday life, different activities that you do throughout the day, but it is very important that you maintain a communication with your children. Assist your children with school activities, support your children into developing good study and reading habits. That is very important because they're going to need it later on in life. So maybe instead of buying video games, buy computer games and learning games. That's something that I always did with my children. I was big on, instead of the latest uh, electronics that they have out here during Christmas time, you may get a good game to play with, but you are going to also will get something educational to play with, because I still want to keep your mind going in the educational realm, because they're our future. And I do want them to do good at school, so I would always buy learning material. That's important, that your child know how to read and that your child know how to write. Uh, it's very important. And I think when we were growing up, our parents, some parents did, but some parents did not put that emphasis in. And that caused us to have major problems throughout school. And so when we know better, we do better. A lot of times we can't do better because we don't know. But I do challenge everybody to do better. School is starting back up. Our kids need a great start in school. And we need to be there to leave the door open on communication, find out what's going on in school, get more engaged in school activities with our children, and support our children with their learning experience. And if we see them struggling, it's our responsibility as parents to get them help. Check into before school programs, after school programs. There are a number of programs out here that are geared towards helping your children get a better understanding of their class assignments than just letting them go and they don't know it. Get more involved with making sure they do their homework. Uh, this will cause your children's academic performance to increase, and that's important. I'm big on education. I didn't know this when I had my son, and we were about the same age. So as I got older, I said, when you know better, you do better. You didn't know, so I couldn't fault my parents for not teaching me, because they didn't know to teach me. And I didn't know how to teach mine, but I grew to learn. And as I learned different techniques, I started applying them when my daughter came along. And so I'm sort of giving you some of the techniques that were given to me, uh, and some that are studied. So some of these are just my own opinion. Some of them are coming because I've researched it. But I just want to I want to inform you to make you aware of things that could be done to help your child succeed. Go to school PTAs, get to know the teachers, make sure your child is not struggling in any of their classes. If you see them struggling, that's time for mom, dad, caregiver to step up and say, what do we need to do so they won't struggle in school, to help them maintain their grades? Because it definitely will show later in life. Uh, Research have shown, my study was on African American students, so I will address that, and that African American students do not want to struggle with low level proficiency. And this issue has gone unaddressed, so nobody's talking about it. I'm going to talk about it, because if I don't reach but one or two parents out here, then I've done what I set out to do. Nobody wants to hear that uh, maybe I do need to get a little bit more involved in my children's activity. Maybe I do need to sit down and talk to my child and get to know my child, because a lot of parents don't know their children, We wasn't taught to sit down and talk to our children and get to know them. I know my parents didn't. So if you're from that age group, I'm quite sure your parents might have didn't teach you that. But we've got to change that going forward because they're the next generation. Talk to your children. They're stressed out. A lot of them may be. And I used to sit and say, well, I don't know what you're stressed out for. You ain't paying no bills. But some of our children do get stressed out, and we need to be there. It could be school. It could be things going on in school. We need to be there to get to know our children as well as understanding our best way of helping our children to succeed in life. Because when they succeed, you look good. You feel like I've done my job. My job is to help my children succeed, not just to sit and keep having babies. We got to help get them to the next level in life. And most children want to succeed, whether they're African American, Caucasian, Hispanics. It doesn't matter what your culture is. All kids want to succeed. I haven't met one child that wanted to say, I just want to struggle and fail. No, that's not true. They want to succeed. Some kids learn different than other children. And we just need to be mindful. And I'm just bringing awareness to let's start paying a little bit more close attention to our children, set time out for them. We set aside time for everything that we want to do, but do we set time aside to get more engaged with our children, to get to know them, to know how they're feeling, to know what they're experiencing? So I'm challenging parents to get more engaged and get to know your child. It would definitely help down the road. Uh, success, success in life, and getting them ready for college. It starts when they're young. I didn't know that. That you're supposed to tell your children, you got to go to college. And so having a grandson, I always tell him you got to go to college since he was a little baby. So he already know grandma said I got to go to college. I'm instilling that in him as a young child. I couldn't do that with my child because I didn't know better with one of them, but the other one I did know better. So I'm saying instill that at an early age, let them know they've got to go to college. We tell our children what they can do and what they can become, and they depend on us as parents to guide them. And so it's nothing wrong with you telling your child you got to go to college. That's something that should be done at a young age. So if you're not telling them that, maybe that's just a suggestion that maybe I need to try that, because our children will become what we tell them they can become. And their behaviors will change for that. If I know I got to go to college, that means you can't go to school and show out. You got to do your homework. You got to keep up with your grades. And if you're struggling, I need to know you're struggling so I can get you the proper help you need. If it's at the school tutoring or before school tutoring, or um, a lot of churches used to do programs that would help students that are struggling, like one day out the week doing Bible study. I don't know if churches in your area are doing that, but that's something you can check into if you are low income and don't have money to pay for your kids to maybe go to the Y or do different activities wherein they can get the help they need at the school if you're working. Check into churches in your area to see if they offering some type of after school program or after school learning where they work with children, because that is definitely important if they're struggling in areas that you can't help them in. When my daughter was in school, I found some of the activities she was doing when she got up into high school. Some of that stuff I didn't know how to do. I didn't know what that stuff was. I had to find somebody on the outside to help. And that's what I did. I said, I don't know this. She's got to learn it. We just can't push it under the rug. So I went to call in to find out what do I need to do so she can get what she needs, or find somebody that can show her how to do this so she won't fail her class. So that is very important that we start early with learning our children, pushing them for academic success, academic performance success. Maintain communications with our children. School activities, support children. We got to, in their development, studies, and reading habits. Make sure they're reading and doing their homework assignments. And communicate with your child's teacher. That's important as well, so you will know what needs to be done or how you can help them. Because we all want our children to succeed in life after high school. Um, some want them to go to college, some may go in the workforce, some may go into military services. Um, Whichever path they decide to take, education is important. Uh, I don't care which walk of life you decide to go into. It's crucial that our children know certain things, because if they can't, even if they're in the grocery store, if they can't count your money, they in bad shape. You can't work at a grocery store now because you got to know how to count money. You got to know, in the fast food restaurant, I run into people periodically and they just don't know how to count. And I'm saying, okay, you went through high school and you still haven't learned how to count money. So there are things out here. We have to make sure our children are educated and get more involved in our children. So that's a challenge, uh, to focus more on our children. And I know we're working. I know we got other things going on, but take time out for your children because they need that. Uh, a lot of times when children are struggling, I look at it as a contributing factor to something that may be going on. Contributing factors. That Let me tell you the definition of it. Contributing factors has been identified as facts, a circumstance, or something contributed to the cause or result of an outcome. DeBry, 2019. Contributing factors. I'm not going to go over all of them, but one in particular that I'm talking on now is parental support. And that's a contributive factor to why children may not be doing good in school, whether we want to hear it or not. It's because parents are not getting involved with their children. And when you don't get involved, it can cause poor school performance, which has been identified. Poor high school performance, or poor school performance, yeah, it's been identified as a symptom that students may have that signals a larger underlying dilemma. And that's DeBry, etc., 2019, Hill, etc., 2018. That means that your child has an underlying cause that could lead to them not performing well in school. What that means is that you're teaching your children. There are things that could be going on around your children that are causing them not to perform well in school. And we want them to perform well in school. So we want to make sure that the environment they in is a good environment, uh, so that they're not stressed out or up under pressure, that they can't concentrate in school. But if they're not doing good in school, they call that a symptom. A symptom. I can't even pronounce it. A symptom, which signals that something is going on around them that is causing them not to do good in school. So we have to check our children's surroundings. We have to check ourselves. What are we doing in front of our children? How are we behaving? Is it something we've done to cause our child not to succeed? Or is it the environment we're in? Is it causing our children not to succeed? As parents, that's our responsibility to make sure our children's well-being are good. So that's something I challenge everybody to do. And if your children is struggling, get with the school, get with the teachers, find out what you need to do to help your child succeed, because that is your responsibility as a parent. So I'm gonna get ready to close on this. I will do my last summary of what I talked about today, and that early academic achievement develop early in life. So if you got young children, now is the time to start teaching them, and they will carry that on through high school and into adult life. So it's never too early to start teaching our children once they come. And if you got children that they're our future. So if you got children, you are their greatest influence because you are the parents. And it's your responsibility to make sure that your children do well. It's your responsibility. It starts at home. And you have the greatest influence over your child academic success. So I challenge you to get more involved with your children. That helps them with their behaviors, their attitudes, and it helps them to do better in school. And that is going to end what I wanted to say today. I love children. Um, I think I'm doing this more because I want to see more children in college, especially African American boys. I think it's a big lapse in children going to college, especially in the African American communities. And it's one thing to go, but it's another thing to graduate and finish. And that's pushing more towards children graduating from college and going higher. Because in today's society, sometimes a bachelor's degree is not enough, or a master's degree is not enough. I would love to see more lawyers, more doctors, and we not pushing our children in that direction. As African American parents, we have to step up and do better. And a lot of times we don't know we need to do better, but I'm just bringing awareness. And if you're doing good with your children and they're succeeding and they A students, this message is not for you. This message is for the children that are out here struggling with low proficiency in school, whether they're in high school, elementary school, kindergarten, I don't care where they at. If they're not doing good, it's the parents' responsibility to help their child and to see them succeed in life. It's your responsibility as a parent. And parents need to step up more and do more for their children and make sure their mental health is okay. And that's something that we wasn't taught coming up, but it's coming out more, bringing more awareness. And if you need to get intervention, then take those necessary steps to get intervention for your child, because they're going to need it later on in life. And it's up to the parents to make sure that they get what they need when they're young. You can't teach your child when they get 18, it's too late then. It starts out when they're babies, teaching them and guiding them in the right direction. And so we as parents, we have to do that. We are responsible for them, which means you're responsible for their education and making sure they do what needs to be done. So go to PTA, spend more time at PTA, get to know your child's teacher, find out what's going on in school if they're struggling. If they're doing good, that's great. But for the kids that aren't doing good, parents do need to get more involved to find out why my child is not doing good in school and find out what needs to be done so they can succeed, because nobody wants to fail, which means if they're failing, it's a problem. Uh, Try to get to the root of that problem. Do they need glasses? It could be a number of things could be going on. I don't know your child. That's why I say get more involved with your children, get to know them so you'll know what is going on with them and how you can improve their lives. Because they're our future generation. That's our future doctor that you're talking to, or our future nurse, or the lawyer, or the judge, or the next president um, that you are raising. I say raise them well and impart into them. We didn't know to impart into our children when I was coming up. I don't remember my parents doing that. They just went to work every day. Uh, Nobody never told me you can go to college. So I don't fault my parents because they didn't know. That's why I say when you know better, you do better. Uh, Nobody said you could be a doctor. Nobody told me I could be whatever I choose to be in life. Or I could be the next DA or the next judge. We don't tell our children. And it starts at home. Parents tell them what they can do, find out what they enjoy doing, and encourage them. They have to have good grades to go into those fields. Uh, that helps them with their academics as well as their behavior. That means you have to do good in school. You can't go to school and show out and have behavior problems. You got to listen at your teacher and get your homework in on time. They don't know that until you tell them. You have to impart that into your child. Um, and if you don't know, then I'm just bringing awareness. If you do know, I'm still bringing awareness. I just wish I had what I'm giving you when I was younger because I didn't get it. Uh, But I don't fault my parents because they didn't know better. I learned a lot of things later in life from my mom. And so it's like, now I know these things. I wish I'd have did it when you were young. And I'm like, okay, but I'm grown now, you know. So if you got younger children, high school, start imparting, see what they want to do. Now is the time, especially when they start hitting ninth grade, they got to have a certain level, a certain number of classes in order to get in college. Now is the time to get more focus into that and get into your child to see what they do want to do. Make sure they're not dealing with peer pressure at school or bullying at school. Um, it's a number of things that children are faced with at school and out here in our society. So I challenge the parents to get more involved with your children. Take time out for them so that they can become the next doctor or lawyer or whatever they choose to do in life, or the next president. Who knows? Uh, all jobs are open. You just have to guide them in the right way. And it is up to the parents to do that. It starts at home. And that's all I have for you today. I enjoyed speaking with you. Leave me some comments. Uh, Eventually, I want some people to come up and talk. Let me know how you feel uh, in a positive manner. This is a positive station, and we want to keep it that way. So if you have anything to share, that would be great. Leave me comments. Hit the like button. Uh, Join. Hit the notification so you can get notified whenever I come on. That would definitely be beneficial. And subscribe to my station. Have a good day.